Everybody, this is the Reluctant Nabi back again. And this is a day in the life of effed up news. And this is way, way worse. This move is way worse than what you think. And it sends a message to everyone else in the United States that there is a group of untouchables whereby laws mean nothing to them and laws do not have to mean anything to them. This is a slap in the face of all people, especially men who have served in the military in the United States, and in particular to the Marines. Semper Fi. As an Army retiree, my heart goes out to you as to the slap in the face this is to Marines. All right, so let's get into the story. Let me greet everybody real quick. Havorden Hardugudag, Ola Oitabang, Vasas Los, Bonjour mes amis, Kedabawani Konnichiwa, Nihal Niama, Sani Bonani, Jumbo Habaragani, Assalamu alaikum, Shalom, Kamusta Ka, Kamusta Pokayo, Talafa Lava Soy Fua. If you like what my channel represents, this story is going to go up on both channels. But if you like what my channel represents for the Afro community in the diaspora, my donation links will be in the description box, my PayPal, me, and Cash App. But remember, you always take care of yourself and family first before you donate a dime to anyone. And if you can, just look down there and not forget, please look down to your right, click the button, click the like button, and don't forget, I want to hear your comments about this, right? So, Brittney Griner was swapped for Viktor Bout while a U.S. Marine stays behind in Russia. Now, this U.S. Marine has become a prisoner in Russia long before Brittney Griner. This U.S. Marine was caught, and they alleged that he was kind of an agent. All right. The U.S. Marine alleges that he was no such thing but just a visitor. All right. So this dude is still in the prisons. He was there before Brittney Griner got there. He didn't, basically, it wasn't proven that he broke their law. He claims his innocence, so he did not break Russia's laws. But in the United States, that doesn't matter, because Brittney Griner is a BW, and they aren't held accountable for SH in the United States. They are allowed to lie on Afro men and get them falsely put in prison. They are allowed to lie and have the courts have a man pay them money for 18 years of his life for a child that the courts, the woman, the man, DNA says isn't his. And it's not in the best interest of the child. It's the extortion of men. That's what's going on in the United States. The United States, let me say this. This has just made the United States seem like one of the most perilous places to be if you are a man, even in the vicinity of these women, for this reason. The message here is no one is allowed to hold the B-dub, the alphabet people, or maybe women in general. You're not allowed to hold them accountable. They mean so much to this administration in the United States right now, and laws mean absolutely nothing. When it comes to them, laws mean absolutely nothing, to the point that they will let Viktor Bout go in exchange for Brittney Griner instead of the Marine that served honorably. I want you to let that sink in. Now, let's take a look at this Viktor Bout. This is not according to me. All right. This is according to the New York Times. Valerie Hopkins, she wrote this story. All right. But she's not going to be the only one to write this story. Because I think for the first time in a while, the left-sided media is waking up and saying that this is clearly not a victory for the U.S., for justice, for anything. As a matter of fact, they are afraid. Why would they be afraid? Well, let's dig into who this Viktor Bout is, according to the New York Times. All right. So shortly after his conviction in 2011 on charges including conspiring, to kill American citizens, to delete American citizens, the Russian arms dealer Viktor Bout relayed a defiant message through his lawyer as he faced the prospects of decades in prison. Mr. Bout, his lawyer, said, "Believe this is not the end." I'm going to sip some of my hot drink on that. He said, "Believe this is not the end." More than a decade later, Mr. Bout, 55, has been freed despite serving less than half of his 25-year prison sentence. He was exchanged on Thursday for American basketball. She's not a star. The media pumped her up to be a star, but the WNBA are not full. She's an American WNBA basketball star. Outside of that, she's not a star outside of that. All right. Brittney Griner, who's been in prison in Russia for 10 months. Now, let this sink in. These are the women that think that the men that worked hard should give up their paycheck, that bring in a bigger purse should give up their paycheck. Again, in this administration, with these group of individuals in the United States, there is no such thing as fairness, judgment, or anything. The United States is that the men do the sacrifice, the women reap the benefits, and that's according to this administration. This is what this is saying. And we will leave a Marine in prison and release the most heinous and most dangerous of individual for a woman who breaks the law in another country. She gets to come free, but the people that actually served in the U.S. military, the people that actually was trying to do good, no, they don't get to go free. All right. Russian officials have pressed for Mr. Bout's return since his conviction by a New York jury on 4 counts that included conspiring to delete American citizens. I want y'all to read that real carefully. Prosecutors said he had agreed to sell anti-aircraft weapons to drug enforcement informants who were posing as arms buyers for the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia. Oh, wow. So this is about the F up Colombia, too. Understand the implications of how really dangerous the world has just become because of the democratic people running the United States. More important than the safety of millions, more important than the justice for maybe thousands, was the feelings of these BAWs. All right, this is the craziest and most dangerous thing that this, in so many ways, that this administration has done. All right, so this is, again, Viktor Bout. Attorney General at the time, Eric Holder, called Mr. Bout, pronounced Bout, one of the world's most prolific arms dealers. Mr. Bout became notorious among American intelligence officials, earning the nickname Merchant of Death, as he evaded capture for years. His exploits helped inspire the 2000 film Lord of War that starred Nicolas Cage as a character fashioned after Mr. Bout. He was probably the highest profile Russian in U.S. custody, and the prisoner Russia had campaigned the most vociferously to have returned. His return to Russia is likely to reignite the debate over the wisdom of engaging in prisoner exchange for Americans in the U.S. For Americans the United States consider wrongfully detained. Now, let's make this clear. The Marine that is still over there, I want y'all to understand, the Marine that is still over there was wrongfully detained. Brittney Griner was breaking their laws, and she was serving time that the average Russian would serve for breaking the same law. I want y'all to understand this. I want y'all to understand this. And they're going to spin lies when she gets back. And they're working on the spin cycle and lies because this is so bad in so many ways that even trying to lie your way out of it and trying to justify this, it will not work. Because people will understand. And so they go, as was the case with Miss Griner. Okay, all of a sudden she's a miss too. Think about that. And with another American still in prison in Russia, Paul Whelan, that's the Marine I talked about, a former Marine who was there before Griner got there, who didn't break any Russia's laws, who wasn't actually caught and filmed breaking laws, who is still declaring his innocence. But no, the United States don't stick up for the Marines that they send everywhere to die and give their lives for us. This isn't even political pressure. This is specifically one group of people that the Democrats say is their only base because, let's be honest, they believe that the black women in their party can make or force or shame Afro men because they believe we are that weak and that much suckers. They believe that these women can shame us into anything. And if you agree that this was a good idea, then they probably can. So that's their voting base. Because they're losing so many more. They're not going to get the Hispanics the way they say. They're split 50-50. Oh yes, this was a political thing. But in this age of politics, this is what's worse about these stories. There's a wall of a bunch of people being held hostage, a bunch of service members being held hostage. All right, let me say this. So we used to be able to use our ID cards. Now I could use it for a Space A trip, but we used to be able to use our ID cards as service members to get on and do international flights. But it had been so dangerous for us service members to be recognized as service members that we were told to just use a regular passport. Don't use our ID cards as passports anymore. All right. One of the reasons is a lot of people are being kidnapped. This administration did not even put an iota of effort into freeing innocent people that are still being held hostage all over the world, as they put into a guilty woman because she's alphabet, LGBTQRSTUV, and black, and a woman, with the outcry from black women with money that's a part of the LGBTQRSTUVWXYZ coalition. They decided to free her over all the men. Understand this. There's a bunch of people in prison right now in the United States for the ganja, which is now legal in some states. They said Biden ain't did nothing for them. He could just say, executive order, get them all out. But what's worse is there's a bunch of hostages that were hostages before Brittney Griner. They're still hostages now. And their families could look back at this administration and really understand, no, they really don't give a F about any other citizens in the U.S. If you're not a part of that alphabet group or a black woman, F you. That's the message. That's the most dangerous message to come out of this. Y'all tell me what y'all think in the comment section. With that said, I'm out.